What is up, guys? Delboy here. Is it time for Luis Ortiz to make some serious changes in his career? I'm talking about leaving the PBC and firing the people around him who are like his managers, his promoters, etc. Because recent days, Luis Ortiz's reputation has gone from quote-unquote boogeyman to the biggest joke in the heavyweight division. Now, I never felt Luis Ortiz was the boogeyman, but I always felt he was a good fighter, a capable fighter, and a dangerous fighter. But right now his reputation is in the dumps, and I believe it's mainly down to his management and the people around him. I said in my video about this situation, if I were to hazard a guess, I don't think the fact that the Anthony Joshua fight fell through was Luis Ortiz's fault per se. I think it was the people around him who stopped this fight from happening. I don't think the PBC wanted it, and his manager, or his promoter, was getting too greedy. I think they made this hard for a very specific reason, to be honest with you. Unless they couldn't get crazy amount of money for Luis Ortiz to fight Joshua, they never planned on letting him go anyway. And that's denied him a career high payday, and basically that has stopped him being financially secure for the rest of his life, because he was offered life-changing money and they didn't allow him to take it. Bear in mind, Luis Ortiz is old, he's 40 years old officially, and he's got 1 or 2 fights left in him. And he's got a sick kid. Do you think Luis Ortiz turned down this fight off his own accord? I doubt it. The people around him have failed him in a major way, and I believe now he really needs to consider leaving. Look at Team Ortiz in the fallout to this situation, pointing fingers at each other. I've heard rumours of legal action and things like that. His team's a mess, and nobody really has his best interest at heart. Not even the quote-unquote new media who have been pushing this guy's career for the past 12 to 18 months. Now, conveniently, most of these guys have thrown Luis Ortiz in the trash like a cheap whore. So Luis Ortiz needs to cut these people off and go elsewhere. And there are a few options out there. For example, Luis Ortiz could go to Top Rank or ESPN. They have options now. They've got Tyson Fury, one of the biggest draws in the heavyweight division. They've got Kubrat Pulev. I believe they have ties to Oscar Rivas. There's some options at Top Rank for Luis Ortiz to fight. Maybe Luis Ortiz could link up with Frank Warren. Frank Warren has a few heavyweights and a few notable heavyweights at that. Obviously, like ESPN and Top Rank, Frank Warren works with Tyson Fury. He also has guys like Joe Joyce, who's recently signed. People have spoken about a Joe Joyce-Luis Ortiz fight in the past. Maybe if Luis Ortiz had a relationship with Frank Warren, that fight would be more possible. I'm sure people would be interested in it. It's a fairly big fight. Joe Joyce isn't a massive name over here, but he's got a fair little profile. Luis Ortiz versus Joe Joyce would get a lot of people excited over here. So you've got the option of going to Frank Warren. And obviously, Eddie Hearn's still there. Luis Ortiz worked with Eddie Hearn in the past, and maybe he could rekindle that relationship to try and get that Joshua fight. But not only Joshua, there's Dillian Whyte. Maybe if Luis Ortiz worked with Eddie Hearn, that fight could be a possibility. Dillian Whyte really wants a WBC title shot. Maybe if Luis Ortiz and Dillian Whyte were on the same page, maybe that fight happens. What I'm saying is, there's options out there, and I truly believe Luis Ortiz should consider these options, because it's clear to me the people around him have failed him and don't have his best interests at heart. They don't, because who in their right mind would advise a 40-year-old man with health problems to turn down 10 times your career high payday? Who would advise that? Who? Not somebody with his best interests at heart. If you knew this guy was as old as he was, and he had very little time left in the sport, he had a sick daughter outside of the sport, if you knew all of that and said to him, do you know what, turn down 10, 12 times your career high payday, we've got some more options for you. If you said that, you've not got your client's best interest at heart. I just can't see it, man. I just can't see it. And the people around him, like I said, they failed Luis Ortiz. They really have. And that's just my 2 cents on the situation. Share your thoughts below. Would you like to see Luis Ortiz sign with another promoter or another outfit? I would, I'll be honest. Don't get me wrong. At the PBC, there's still some great fights for Luis Ortiz. I'd love to see Luis Ortiz fight Adam Kaunacki, or even somebody like Dominic Breazeale or Andy Ruiz. I would like to see those fights. So, I'm not saying there's not fights for him on the PBC, but can he trust these guys anymore? It's clear they don't have his best interests at heart, and I would like to see him move on, if I'm being honest. Share your thoughts below. Peace.